Alright folks, today we are comparing the DJI RS2 with the Zhiyun Crane 2S. I will compare some of the specs of these two gimbals, but I'll also take a look at my experience of working with the Crane 2S and the DJI RS2 on various shoots. So let's put these gimbals head to head so you can get a clear understanding of what the difference is between these two. So here we go. So as I said, we are comparing the RS2 with the Crane 2S. And first of all, I want to say one thing, and that is I am not sponsored by any of these two companies. These are my own takeaways of using these two gimbals. The first thing we're going to take a look at is price, because that is one of the most important things that will determine if we have the money to buy the gimbal in the first place. And there's a big difference between these two, even though they are similar in size, weight, and so on. So the DJI RS2 currently sells for $849, and the Crane 2S sells for $539. So there are $310 difference between these two gimbals. Stabilization wise and the way they work, you will get the same in these. It's only the specs and how they are made that are the difference. So if you're looking for a cheap option, you will have to go with the Crane 2S because the RS2 is more expensive. Alright, let's talk build quality of these two gimbals. Let's start with the RS2. So if you take a look at the RS2 up here, it's fully carbon fiber on these arms. There's a bit of metal here, and they are metal construction right here in the middle. The grip is a rubber grip, and it's really nice to hold. So the build quality of the RS2 is really great. On the Crane 2S, it's a bit different. They have also incorporated some carbon fiber down here by the grip. There's no rubber. I would have liked that so it wouldn't be that slippery. It is not bad, but if it's cold, it will get a bit slippery. On the arms here, it's fully metal. There's some plastic down here in the middle around the screen, but else than that, it's a really nice quality. I think it's a high-end product as well, so both of those are really well built. So next up we have weight of these two gimbals, and if we take a look at the website, they state that the full weight of this one is 1880 grams, and the weight of the gimbal only on this one is, let me just see, 960 grams. So we really can't use those specs for anything, so I went ahead and weighed both of these systems. RS2 weighs 2 kilos and the Crane 2S weighs 2.35 kilos. So the Crane 2S is heavier than the RS2. Then let's take a look at payload of these two gimbals. When I take a look at them, the motors on the Crane 2S are a bit beefier than on the RS2. But don't get fooled, the RS2 can take a wobbling 4.5 kilos. The Crane 2S, they don't state how much it can take, but it can take at least 4.5 kilos as this one can. But you have to go into the compatibility list from Zhiyun to see if your camera works with this crane. One thing you have to note here is that because it is the way they have configured this gimbal, you don't have any way of moving this base plate left to right. So if you have a wider body than the S1H, you will not be able to mount it on this gimbal because you cannot shift it left to right. If we take a look at the Crane 2S over here, they have made it so that you can move this in and out and get more space here. So you will be able to mount a bigger camera and a wider camera on the Crane 2S than you can on the DJI RS2. So the next thing we're going to take a look at is base plates for these two gimbals. Let me just switch these out. This is for the RS2 and this one is for the Crane 2S. So the one thing that I like about this is that they have incorporated a quick release plate so that it's easy to mount your camera, but the one thing I don't like is that this quick release plate is only compatible with this plate and nothing else. They should have made it like an Arca Swiss plate, that would have been nice. The one thing that I really like is this system here, the rail system, so that you can slide the camera forwards and backwards. Here you can see we can slide the camera here forwards and backwards until we get balance. You see, there we go, pretty nice. That's a nice feature, I like that. We don't have that on the Crane 2S. So, and with the way they've done this, then you can't move the camera forwards and backwards. It is stuck in this position here, which can be a problem and sometimes. The Crane 2S has just a standard plate that is just flat and you can mount the camera anywhere you want. It's a nice design, it's just easy way to go with it. I like the other one better, the other system here. But for both of these two, I will say I have switched both of these base plates out with the Ulanzi plates, so I can easily take the camera on and off on both of them. It has a nice quick release system, so I can easily take them off. I will leave links for this particular base plate down in the description. If you want to see the video I've made about this base plate, I will link it down here as well. That is the best solution I have found for the RS2 and the Crane 2S. Alright, let's take a look at the ergonomics and the layout of the buttons of these two gimbals. On the RS2 here we have the front trigger right here, and right above that we have the follow focus wheel. It's nicely made, easy to use. On the other side you can see we have a touchscreen on this gimbal, and right under that we have the joystick. We have a mode button, we have 3 custom modes, then we have a record on and off, and on the side here you have the power on and off. So everything is nicely made, you can reach everything with your thumb, so I like this design. If we take a look at the Crane 2S, it's a bit different, but not that much. On the front here we also have a front trigger. On the side here you have the follow focus wheel. It's a bit different, you use this with your thumb, it's nicely made and has a nice touch to it. On the other side here we have this screen. It's not a touch screen, but you can toggle through it, just go down for the menu and it's easy to use. On the Crane 2S we have a mode button, so you can toggle through all the modes. You have a power button, you have a record button, and that is kind of it. It is really intuitive and super easy to use. I like both of these designs, so no matter what gimbal you get, it works perfectly. So one thing to note with the ergonomics of this gimbal is that when you want to use it in low mode, none of these gimbals come with an extension arm or has any kind of back arm to it because they're in this one stick configuration. So you will have to buy an extra handle you can attach if you want a back handle. And that goes for both of these gimbals. But one thing I just want to show you is that if you want to flip the gimbal around and use it upside down, you can do that on both gimbals. But on the Crane 2S, if you have the extension off, this arm will bump into this arm here, the pan motor arm. Let me just show you. See? Both, it will hit the arm. So you will have to readjust to flip the gimbal around. On the RS2 you don't have that problem. It can go past in any configuration. So that is big of a flaw on the Crane 2S, I would say. Alright, let's go with battery, because these are pretty different on these two gimbals, and some favor this and other favors this. I really like the idea of being able to swap out batteries, so you can have extra batteries on a shoot if you run out of battery. But again, both of these two gimbals state that they can run for 12 hours. The charging time of the RS2 is 1.5 hours, where the charging time on the Crane 2S is 4 hours. Crane 2S, you will have to take the gimbal apart, and the batteries are down here. That is one of the things that I don't like. See, I have to do this. So we have the batteries down here. I can't just pop them out as I can on the Crane 3S and the Gimbal S. On the RS2, it's a bit different, and this one you will have to charge directly from the gimbal. It's an internal battery, you can't swap it out, but they have done something that I really like, and that is the modular system. You can take this apart, boof, and then we have the battery grip right here. So if anything happens to the battery grip, you can get this replaced. So let me just put these two gimbals to the side, because the next thing is really important, and that is the ability to carry these two gimbals within a case or in your backpack. And as I said just before, this gimbal is modular. As you saw, I could take it apart, and that means that we can break this gimbal down into small pieces, and we can easily fit it into any backpack. On the Crane 2S, we cannot do that. We are stuck with this configuration right here. You cannot break anything apart, so I cannot fit this one in any of my backpack. I have the Love Pro Tactic 450, I have the Love Pro roller bag, and I also have a Evoc bag that I use, and I cannot put it in any one. It has to go in the outside, and that is kind of a deal breaker for me, because if I'm traveling where the weather is bad, I don't want this one on the outside. So I have to bring a dedicated bag for this gimbal. If you just buy the standard RS2, you will just get a case like this. You will not get a carrying case. You will have to upgrade to the combo, and with the combo you will get this nice carrying case. Super small, super compact. You can see the difference between these two. This is the Crane 2S. This is the RS2. If you buy the RS2 and you want this one and you didn't buy the combo, you can order this one. Just reach out to DJI and you will be able to buy this separately. And as I said, this is the Crane 2S case, which is just a standard foam case. Alright, let's take a look at the tripod legs for these two gimbals. On the RS2, it has a nice metal tripod leg. It feels sturdy, it's nice, and it's wide. So when I put it down, I don't feel like it's tipping over. It's a bit different on the Crane 2S. On the Crane 2S, you get this little tripod leg. It's not that big, it's the same size as for the Gimbal S. And when I put the Crane 2S down, I feel like it's about to tumble over. Therefore, I've just added another set of tripod legs that are wider, so that I have a nice space to set it down. So that's a bit of a flaw. I don't like that have given us this little tripod. So yeah, keep that in mind if you buy the Crane 2S. You might have to switch it out. Yes, and then lastly, didn't just talk accessories for these two gimbals. This is where the RS2 really shines. Because they have made this as a modular system, then you can get a long variety of accessories. Tilta, Olanzi, Small Rig, you name it, have made so many accessories for this gimbal. They have cages, dual handle grips, you name it. And this is where I think this one wins over the Crane 2S. Because you can't get that many accessories for this. You can get a back arm, and you can also get a dual handle grip, but it doesn't work as intuitive and great integrated as the RS2. So with that said, I really think that the RS2 is a bit more future-proof, and you have the ability to modular the system for your needs. But let's just talk verdict. Which one of these gimbals would I choose? If I didn't have any of these and I needed to buy a gimbal today, and I was on a budget, then I would go for the Crane 2S. It's a great gimbal, it has great stability, and it just works flawlessly. But if I had some extra money, I would go for the RS2. I think it's a great gimbal and it's future-proof. You can use it with a variety of accessories, and yeah, I really like this gimbal. So my choice would be this one if I didn't have to think about how much it costs. Alright, that is my comparison video of these two gimbals. I have a long list of gimbal videos. I will list some of them down here, so you can go back and watch those. And of course, if this is the first time you're here, remember to subscribe if you want to learn more about filmmaking with motion. And lastly, stay creative and stay safe, and if you can, go out and shoot some dope videos. See you next time. Bye. Alright, so as I said, that's so funny. Okay, try again. Take 10, 15, I don't know. There's nobody here and I'm just smiling at anybody. Like, so, like, the life of having a YouTube channel. This is it, like, this is the fun you have, right? Yeah. Life in a pandemic with a YouTube channel. This is what it should be called.